Duvid here. We are live at the AmCon Manufacturer and Contract Expo. Been coming here multiple years now. It's not the first time I've streamed this. Pretty small turnout, pretty depressing. I don't want to be depressed. I got to be hopeful. Although, COVID-19, so I got my mask on because God forbid I'm unvaccinated. But I'm pretty safe. I'm not going to give you COVID. Thank God I haven't caught it yet. I don't plan on catching it. But case count here is really high in Michigan right now. Unfortunately, COVID-19 is higher, second highest in the nation in Michigan, and keeps on increasing, like 5,000 cases a day, about 50 deaths a day. So if you're in Michigan, be careful. Society's got to move on. So I'm here, I'm masked up, and small turnout. It's in the morning. I got here right at the beginning, and I'm not familiar offhand with Allison McDowell. Put in the comments later or something a link, at least offhand. So smaller turnout this year. You see the sectioned off. Previous years they've had larger sections. A lot of chipboard, a lot of chip manufacturers, motherboards. So maybe I'll talk to some of them about the supply chain crisis. No, unfortunately, it looks like bad news that the decline of America, decline of American manufacturing. So like I did the Automotive Testing Expo. Most of those weren't American companies. Those were global, international companies. And so this is actually the American manufacturers Expo, and these are all American companies. Well, even probably a lot of these companies are global, international. So it's like we still do make things here in America, not that much. So I watched my stream from 2 years ago, and I was explaining just kind of the business model. And when I did originally got into coming to these shows, my main intention was to make money. I'm a smart guy, I love science, and understanding how things work, but I really just wanted to figure a way out to make some money. Now there's really very little chance to make money in these shows, but I still love science, and God forbid, to prevent the decline of America. This is kind of sad. God bless all these people for showing up. This show, Design Contract Manufacturing Expo, travels around the nation. So a lot of the same companies, go to this show, and they make things. All these companies here make things. Metals, CNCing, 3D printing, plastic mold injection, metal, welding, basically everything, plastics, and it's largely contract. Sorry, I missed that last comment. It's largely contract. BIM. I like BIM, building information. I don't think they have any. This is mostly, say, design and contract manufacturing. So they might have some computer modeling, but these are more old school manufacturing companies that in previous years, like they have had more computer modeling type software. There may not be the financial incentive, God forbid, for them to even show up at conventions like this. So you have to have a product that you want made, and then you have to I'll come back in. I'm doing a little stream here. I'm doing a little stream here. If you want.
Okay.
Did you have any comments? I'm on YouTube. Did you have any comments on the chip, the global supply chain? Is it affecting? If someone had if prices went up, if I had a device and wanted to
it's probably going up, probably
make circuit boards
25%, not to mention the lead times are out about 12 to 16 weeks from what they're normally at.
Is it the cost of silicon, or is everything gone up?
I don't know if it has a specific I mean, obviously the semiconductors market is the biggest one, but I mean, everything's affected at this point. I mean, even we're getting resistors and capacitors now that are starting to get their lead times out, more for through hole, not for the surface mount area, but everything's up.
Are these made here in America?
Yes, they are.
So
I mean, the components and stuff like that, no. I mean, we get them from overseas.
yeah, I mean, supply chains, I was the global.
Yeah. I mean, everything's.
Even the semiconductors, they're also made overseas.
Yep, absolutely.
But if someone had any electrical device that needed a circuit board, how exactly does your company operate? So if someone, I don't know, had like a CNC, a product, a manufacturing line, and they wanted to connect it to a central control, you would design the circuit board, or they already have to have the circuit board designed and you just make it?
They would already have to have the circuit board design. We assist in the manufacturing design of that circuit board, though, to help it bring costs down or help it be better in manufacturability. So we don't exactly do the engineering services to help design, but we can point you in the right direction because we also have other people that we partner with to create designs for us, if you know what I mean. So there's other engineering services out there that we can help be the liaison to.
I mean, what's a typical product that someone would come and, I mean, would it be something mass where they have 10,000 pieces that they need, or would it be just one machine that they need, like for one manufacturing line?
Well, you're talking about prototypes where you're just doing 1 or 5 boards and then one board that's like 10,000 boards. Is that what you're talking about, in producing 10,000 boards versus producing 1 to 5 boards?
Well, I mean, who's your typical customer?
Oh, our typical customer? We are a high mix, low volume. We have industrial, we have agricultural, we have some medical. So we don't really have any specific, but we have a high mix, low volume. So ours is probably ranging from 500 to 8,000 for an annual usage for our customers.
So for devices or for manufacturing facilities? Some of these chips are going in, circuits are going in actual devices that are going to customers, or they're going into
No, they go into
manufacturer
they go
facilities?
into boards. Like we'll order the boards. This one right here, we build probably 12,000 of these a year. So we need about, there's 2 of these, so we need 24,000 of those a year. This one we need 12,000 of those a year. So on and so forth. When we get them ordered in, say they have a 25, 26 week lead time, we need to order them the year before for the shipments. And then we order them in, reel shipments. So they come in a 5,000 piece reel. We get 5,000 pieces shipped in March, 5,000 pieces shipped in June, so on and so forth.
You say like in China, are they made by hand, or you have automated robotics that pieces these together?
Oh, we don't make the components. We make the circuit boards. So we buy the components.
I mean, you put these pieces together. Is it done by hand or done by automated
done by
robot?
machine. If you see the pick and place machine at the top right up there, that's what we use to put the parts on the board. Down at the bottom right is the paste machine that puts the paste onto the board. And then at the top right, it puts the parts on there. Now for through hole, you'll have one of those machines down there that just takes these LEDs right here and it'll cut and clinch on the bottom so it holds them into the board. And then middle picture over there and the top left picture is a selective solder machine that comes up and solders all these joints individually.
So I mean, here in Detroit, I've been coming to these shows for a while. Manufacturers say is somewhat automotive or bust, because automotive is, I think, over 50% of global manufacture. But let's say someone had some sort of device that's going into a car and it needs a circuit board to connect to the main auto system. What would it look like if they came trying to get that? I mean, first they would have to research, get a working circuit board, have it designed, and then they would come to you and
ask us to build it.
And what type of price point?
Obviously it differs. Like for us to produce a board like that,
you would bid it.
We would bid it. We would quote it. Yep.
So what type of price points for what type of volume?
That one right there, I don't know. I mean, this is an older technology, more of a legacy board. If you see all the different components on here that are all through hole, there's no real surface mount, so this is like an outdated board. And then it has top and bottom. This one could probably be around $300 to do each one. Manufacturing wise, I don't know what the markup is on it and stuff like that. But surface mount board right here, where it's mainly all surface mount, but you do have some on here that are through hole. But top and bottom surface mount has another driver on cost, right? So
I mean, what type of devices are going into that cost $300 just for the circuit board?
This one's not going to be 300. This one will probably be 80 or something like that. But they'll put it into a huge. You know, if you walk around here and you see some of the backdrops, they have the machines that we put our circuit boards into.
You're like a CNC machine?
No, more like a panel. See that panel back there in the wall? Our circuit boards could go into that panel right there. You know, and then they connect it to it. Like, you know, COVID, right? Well, they have their refrigeration units for the medicine, like COVID refrigeration units that drop to a certain degree.
Yeah, my father's a doctor. He actually has one of those for the vaccine.
Yeah, so we've actually
lost power actually
boards to them.
God forbid Michigan's had power outages.
Yep.
They'd have a generator to...
yeah, so our circuit board's just a brain of that entire unit, right? But we do have some of our boards that we produce that actually go into a COVID refrigeration unit and control all the GUI user interface and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, this iPhone obviously is like cost $1,000, but if you think, like a calculator, a simple circuit board that you could buy for a few dollars, or small electric devices that have a very basic circuit board, versus even a computer. So I mean, these are more complicated. You could already buy a home computer, and the chip would maybe the circuit board costs less than that.
Yeah, I mean, but the unit that thing's going into is going to cost you $10,000, right? So this is just a small portion of it. The biggest portion of anything is mostly software and support. You know, so.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm glad you came to Detroit to have a lot of success. Unfortunately, looks like it show's a little bit smaller. It could be COVID.
It's a little small.
I'm worried about the global supply chain, even prices. I mean, what's competition? So like, I go to these shows a lot. There's a lot of Chinese companies, and know how they're set up. They have these kind of like dormitory facilities, where they have people by hand putting boards together. So you're saying these are, compared to the Chinese competition, your product would be higher quality, but more expensive.
Oh yeah, much higher quality.
Or they couldn't even make some. I mean, they probably have the same equipment there also, but it's saying like
they probably do.
The facilities that they have, dormitory. I don't know. Have you been to China?
Yeah, the biggest thing that would differ or separate us from China is their ability to hire people at a lower rate, right?
Yeah, and even the whole work where they have actually dormitory
But they can have
facilities.
20 people in there.
Well, they even have a dormitory, like hundreds of people live there.
Yeah.
And basically, that's what they work a few months, make their money, support their family. But it's designed like that's all they do. They live there, they make these. And they do it mostly by hand, although, I mean, they also obviously have high-tech facilities.
Not nowadays. They've advanced.
That's not even useful. I was saying that they couldn't even make products like this by hand anymore.
Yeah, they probably could. Absolutely. You talk about China?
Well, just the logistics of making a circuit board. It's like if you have these expensive machines that are programmed to make the circuit board, as opposed to the old school production line where you had people that were actually soldering and putting these pieces together. And maybe you don't. I mean, usually you don't even have engineers. Like American jobs here in Detroit, you're saying like, are you really going to create jobs making these boards? Because really these machines that put it together, that besides for the engineer that makes it, and the sales and support staff, it's really one of these machines that makes these circuit boards.
Yeah, in large part, but obviously, stuff like this right here, these little snubbers that go on here, a machine can't place that, When you put this integrated circuit into this socket here, you can't have a machine do that. It's too delicate of an operation. Also here you have a screw that's going into a heat sink. You can't have a machine do that, you just have to have some user interaction. These harnesses that go on here, operators are hand soldering those in because you just can't put them onto the machine by a machine. Now, obviously, like these switches we put in by hand, but you could have a machine feed those in on a reel and place them manually, or however they want to go about it. LED's the same thing. It just depends on how much money you have to invest in the equipment in order to get your return on investment on that equipment. A lot of people need that. So,
I mean,
you always got to weigh out what your capabilities are.
I did commodity trading years ago, mostly oil, but I mean, what's your foresight on the market? Because basically everything's going digital. I mentioned like in automobiles, there's probably over 400 chips in a typical boards in an automobile. Like every component has a tester and some sort of feedback mechanism and requires a chip, and therefore you have the shortage, let alone smart devices. Like you're mentioning that board there, almost every appliance these days.
I mean, you're talking
has
about
more
everything. Like, let's say we were doing everything electronics-wise. We're doing
microwaves,
25%.
Microwaves,
we were doing
dishwashers,
25%, let's say 5 years ago.
washers, dryers.
It's probably up to 50% now. I mean, as far as the digital world's concerned, I mean, everything went to touch screen or electronic control or some software enabled on it. So,
and feedback mechanisms to make the everything smart, I guess, in some way.
Yep.
You want to add a feedback mechanism for power efficiency or anything, that's going to be another circuit board.
Yep, absolutely.
Awesome. So where do you make these?
Where do we make these circuit boards?
Yeah.
Syracuse, Indiana.
Awesome.
Yep.
And you go around the nation with AmCon?
I'm sorry?
You travel the nation with AmCon?
No. No, this is the first time we've been to this show.
Oh, great. I appreciate you talking to me. I've been streaming these conventions. This hall has all the major conventions. It used to be in Detroit, a few of them, but most of the conventions are right here in this hall. The big ones: Automotive Testing Expo, the Battery Show, a few others come regularly this year. But pretty depressing, this area. Like, I mean, I don't know what all the news about.
Yeah, there's a lot of us around. It's just who finds it important to come to the show, And since it's kind of in the COVID thing, people are still a little bit hesitant to get out there, right? Some people are excited about getting out there. We were excited to get out here, and we went to D2P, Design to Part Show. I think it's September, maybe a little earlier than that. I think it might have been August. And that was a really good show. Very similar to this show here, only it probably had double the amount of people here.
I mean, it's beyond your average entrepreneur to, say like a calculator or some alarm clock where you want to make it and you want to have some sort of circuit board, and really you could only pay a few dollars because the whole device is going to have to sell for tens of dollars. So you're talking about heavy machinery, probably engineers working for corporations that are designing these. So you would have to have already set up corporation that knows the need for larger machines, and then the payroll to have.
I mean, to do it yourself, it's pretty difficult, right? But I mean,
that's why people come to Detroit to try to get in on the automotive industry. But unfortunately, we're pretty depressed here these days. And as I said, typically that's the automotive or bust. If you could figure out how to get your unit in the automobile, that's the best way to sell mass parts, because
patents are big. If you get a patent, that's where you want to start.
Awesome. I appreciate you talking to me.
Yep.
God bless. Have a lot of success.
You too. Thank you very much.
Hey, thanks a lot. Okay, so appreciate you got a little expertise there. Hopefully the sound quality was good on chips. So there's a lot of companies, so they're specializing in more advanced circuit boards that, he said cost a few $100s. Usually there are tens of dollars for their average piece. They make thousands of them for larger machinery, machinery that costs tens of thousands, $10,000 plus dollars, and that you would pay a few $100s for the circuit board. as opposed to a smaller device or even like a medical device, so to say, something that would be, so this is manufacturing. Some of these companies probably do chips at a smaller level too, where you think like medical devices or automotive. Instead, if you had like automotive testing expo, almost any element in the automobile these days has an associated circuit board and feedback mechanism. So now these days, any device that you create basically needs an associated circuit board, and that circuit board will regulate things like efficiency and feedback mechanisms and data acquisition and these sort of things. So pretty interesting, saying I wanted to talk to some of the circuit board manufacturers, saying the classic type product line that you have here is metal, plastic parts, where people are, basically have a widget, or here in Metro Detroit, a piece for the automobile. There's thousands of various pieces that go into the automobile, and the manufacturer construction works on the contract model where you have what you want. You see here minimum starting at 10 pieces, fast quoting springs. So you'd have a spring that you might need, and here, just to make 10 or less of them, or 10 or more of them, let alone, hundreds of thousands or millions of them, depending on the advice. And they quote you a price. You give them your design, what you want, and they give you back a price. And then, business model works that they have to make it. They have to, come in with the product at specifications in time. And if they could do that under the price of the bid that they give, that's the profit that they make. So, that's a basic business model. Manufacturer construction works in America with the contract bidding system. So the majority of these companies make widgets, and plastic, metal, all different type things, and the manufacturing processes like plastic mold injection. The what? Yeah, thank God. We're just.
I do the V process lecture.
Oh yeah, I came to the lecture a few years ago
Yeah,
with the sand.
Yeah, it's like a hybrid sand casting.
Yeah, I started streaming these shows. I never got into. I never got employment in the field. I moved on to property management, but I try to be kind of like a science reporter.
Okay.
We have a model now of your process, or this is a different device? Yeah, first time I came to the show, this man, I think family business out of New York, was the first person I spoke to in metal die casting, and they had a special, I guess, patent, different way of doing it with sand, where I guess they have, I'm going off of memory, but they had some, basic sand casting for metal that, so this is old school metal welding, or forgetting the terminology, but saying, widgets, whatever you would need, like plastic mold injection, but with metal, it would be sand cast. They would heat the metal up to an extremely high amount, create some sort of sand cast of the shape you want, feed the metal in, and then they have some sort of special patented process that does it, and then there you would have your widget that you see all these type widgets that they have that make whatever reason for your manufacturing process. Usually metal manufacturers, iron or whatever they do, they don't make products, they make pieces that go into products, like you could see. So most of these things would, I guess, construction equipment or the automobile here in Michigan, or you see the the street crossing sign, and it said they would contract bid it. But this man, I went to his seminar a few years. First time I came, might come back and see if he wants to explain some of this. But I'm not sure if he has a demo of this. It's just the press. No, that's just a coffee machine. So here's just a coffee machine. But so there they have sandcasted parts, and I forget exactly if the patent and the difference in the manufacturing process that this company out of New York uses, or maybe I guess they say in Ohio, for making their pieces versus other processes. And to some extent, you may not care about the manufacturing methods. So if you have a product or widget that you need made, the main thing that you would want to talk about, the main thing you would want to ensure is that you're going to get your piece at your price and that it meets the specifications. So what exactly manufacturing process they use may not matter to you. You're just saying, I need this many pieces at a certain price, and it has to have these engineering specifications, strength, durability, or whatever. If you're an engineer, you read these booklets, they have long lists of material science, physical specifications that basically. So I was saying that if he has a patented process, it's interesting, like I said, like how things work and why they do it. But as the manufacturer, the process that they use may or may not matter. So you got 3D digital microscope imaging, also important for material sciences, for testing and parts, to be able to image them. So I've been rambling almost 30 minutes. I'm going to collect some reading material, try to speak to a few more people. Not sure, at least I got one chip manufacturer to speak to me. I'm not sure if it's interesting for this guy to explain his sandcasting model. I hope a few more people show up. So if you're in Metro Detroit, you make it down to the AmCon. But it's slow manufacturing. So, saying that what company, and this is more for small manufacturers, like if you're General Motors, Ford, you already have your supply chain or whole, these people will come to you, so to say. If you have a budget of millions of dollars, or even hundreds of millions of dollars, the companies are going to come to you for the business. I mean, the suppliers are going to come to you. You're not going to need to come to these shows. So these would be more for smaller manufacturers that would come to a show just to get some contacts with suppliers. And the bigger companies, or these companies, probably have local sales representatives that might go to other type shows. So I'm going to sign off. Thanks for tuning in, and God bless America. Unfortunately, the decline is real. Competition from China is real. The educational decline in America is real. The depletion of the workforce is real. And the base of America was making things, and the technological changes, the global supply chain, the competition from the Far East, and the switch to a service financial field in America where we really don't make that many things. The knowledge of how to make things is decreasing, and the labor force is largely depleted. And because we're kind of arrogant and lazy with wealth, it's, we don't need to be able to do it because we could just pay someone else to do it. But that might collapse in and of itself. So that's why I'm here streaming. And so God bless, signing off. Take care.